Welcome, everyone. You have come to Everything Entrepreneurship, a podcast that I do every so often with entrepreneurs around the globe. My name is John Boitnott, and today I'm joined by Arthur Dallimer in the UK. How are you, Arthur?
I'm good, thank you. It's dark here in the UK and very cold, but it's good. I'm good.
There's so many things I want to say about that. I have friends in the Bay Area where I live in California in the US, and they are from the UK originally, and they found their way to California to escape the difficult weather that you have over there. But Arthur, you're a property investor over in the UK. You have businesses and portfolio and some different things that you're working on over there as an entrepreneur. And this is a podcast where we give information to entrepreneurs and how they run their businesses better, how they can run their businesses better, and all of that. But start off by just telling us about yourself and your background and what you're doing.
I'm 29 years old, based here in the UK. I've been doing property for the last 11 years. I started when I was 17. I went to auction and bought my first house, where I flipped it and made £70,000. And then with that money, I reinvested, and rather than, like any kind of 18-year-old at the time, I'd look to buy a Bentley, but my rational brain would then bring it back to reality and go, no, invest wisely, do it now, work hard from the beginning because it will pay off in the future. So what I did was I still went to university or college in America where I learnt accounting and finance, and during that time I was still flipping houses on weekends in the evenings just to try and generate as much cash as possible. I've always been very money hungry as a kid, and I've wanted to kind of get as much money as possible because it was really something that was really kind of valuable to me, which I think is a good thing, and I still value money very highly within my focus. It's less so now because I have developed a portfolio, I have rental properties, I have a commercial property portfolio where I rent out shops and offices, and I do developments, and I have a construction company.
You got started at a young age, basically 17 years old. Do you get a chance to talk to young persons out there, in the community about, how you got started? And I would just say, like, what are some of the things you would ask those young, or not ask, but tell those young people about, tips for them on how they can sort of get started in the type of field that you're in, especially at a younger age. The temptation, if you get a little bit of money when you're young, is to like go buy, nice clothing,
Yes.
get a nice car. What's your advice for young folks on what they should do to sort of end up more like, because you're still not that old. You're just like 29. Which I wish I was a 29-year-old. But what's your advice for folks on how they can sort of get where you're at?
So I really think it's important to network like crazy. You need to know the people that you're and you are the 5 people you surround yourself with. So make sure that you are meeting up with people that are in the industry, that are doing better, that are really challenging themselves and pushing themselves, because that's where you learn. You learn through the conversations you have with them. And if you're just starting out, get yourself a Saturday job. I worked for a property developer in the UK in the evenings, and I learned so much by just listening, being in the office, hearing the conversations, and with that, that the developer that I was with on the evenings is a lady called Susanna Cole. She really helped me professionalize my business and professionalize myself as an entrepreneur, and she really helped me put in the processes and helped me create a business, but in an informal mentor as such. And I was working and learning with her.
So it helps to have a good networking sensibility. So you got to get out there and go to different networking events, meet the people in your community, and also mentorship. So are you mentoring with anyone right now these days, or how's that going?
I probably am informally being mentored by people, but they're people in my industry, people that I follow, people that I kind of really value and who are doing better than me. I don't pay for mentorship. I just have got a really good friendship with kind of key people that I really enjoy their time, and I enjoy their conversation. I enjoy the language that they kind of share with me.
Yeah, and like you said, you are the five people that you are around the most, that type of thing. So it's important to find those good people that you enjoy their influence on you, right?
Yes.
Um, so the current property market in the UK and all over the world, what are your thoughts? What are some of the trends that you're looking out for or keeping in mind as you continue to move forward?
I think the principle of purchasing an asset, adding value and then selling the asset does not change in anywhere in the universe, in the world. You have to buy the property or a deal or land. You have to buy that at the right price to factor in any mistakes that might happen, factor in any cost overruns, factor in any kind of changes in the market. You have to be buying well at the beginning, never overpay, and never lead with emotion. Make sure that you know your figures, make sure you know your end market and who you're selling to, so that when you are in the transaction of adding value to whatever you're doing, you have factored in all your risks and you will make a profit at the end.
Very good. Yeah. When it comes to, so you're, with the property market right now, are there any certain areas that where you're not wanting to buy into right now, or you're more attracted to right now? What's sort of the outlook in that? In that.
For me here in the UK, there's a lot of legislation and taxation being brought in by the current government, and that's really kind of for me the big deterrent for me wanting to kind of grow any more. I've got to a point now where I have enough. Now it's time to consolidate, pay the debt down, make sure that the assets that I have are making the most out. I have even with the portfolio that I have now, I have places that I can add value. I can chop off some land, I can build some more houses, and that doesn't mean I'm not acquiring so much anymore. But that's the position that I'm in. I think there are other business people who just buy and sell property. They're not accumulating assets, whereas that for them I think is a very tricky time. There is a lot of money in the market. People are holding on to their money because they're either getting high interest rates, like you said. In the US, you're getting 7% on interest, which is insane. That's so easy to just sit on your money and just live off that. So I think it's harder for people to sell properties at the moment, but you really have to create an experience and you have to sell a product to get your profit.
Now, what are some exciting things that you're planning for the next year or two or so? For your own portfolio and the businesses that you're working on. In our pre-discussion, we were talking about maybe even talking about a wine bar. What are some things you're planning on doing?
Yeah, so I bought a mini estate here in Wiltshire, just outside of Swindon, and on this estate, I'm looking to open a farm shop. Never gone into the realm of kind of running a hospitality business and cafes, so that's a new realm for me. It's a diversification of what I do. I'm moving away from property and going into trading. I'm also looking at opening a wine bar, which kind of links in with the farm shop in a way, because I'm looking to sell UK grown wine or made wine. So yeah, it's exciting times, and I'm looking forward to having separate income that isn't reliant on property.
Well, let's talk about some general entrepreneurial subjects, some advice that you can give entrepreneurs on how to be better professionals and how to run their business better. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, sort of when they get started in with their own new company, they have an idea, they have a business plan, they have a thought on where they're going to be going, and they know on the horizon that eventually they might like to sell or something along those lines. But you're an advocate of the idea that you have to always be thinking about when your next pivot is. So what's your advice for young entrepreneurs or beginning entrepreneurs, or even some folks who've been entrepreneurs for a long time but are sort of set in their ways. What's your advice for how they can start to think about pivoting more?
I think if you're running a business and it's successful, you always have to think about the times of when it isn't. So if you are generating large cash of money and it's not, and you're not in a property game, I would then start investing in property, which is a secure, very safe investment. And also, diversifying your cash and putting it into stocks and shares, or investing in companies. I think you should always have an exit in mind whenever that would be. So if you have a kind of trading business, look to sell it in 10 to 15 years. For me, property is a pension. I'm going to be living off that for the rest of my life. However, I've always got the option to sell, and it's the assets that I hold are quite easy to get rid of.
Very good. Yeah, that's something that people always have to be thinking in mind about. But changing, and also you had mentioned earlier, you're thinking about, you're you're putting the plan in motion to do a wine bar and move into different sort of areas of business. And it seems like that's something that everyone would be well advised to do going forward. Any other thoughts on that?
Well, I think if you speak to people in the hospitality game, they're telling me not to do it because there are very small margins, and it's very hard to make money. But that for me builds the brand of what I'm looking to do with my estate here in Wiltshire. So that will feed the public to come and look at my home, which is a beautiful stately house. And also kind of will feed the cafe and the wine bar. So to create this kind of branding and story behind what I'm looking to achieve here is important for the sustainability of how I want to live. Now, I do want to go into building other businesses where I'm looking to sell them for 10, 15 million pounds, but that's going to be in my later. I'm giving myself 2 years to get to a point where I can stop. I'm going to retrain, and then I'm going to hopefully build a new business completely separate to what I do now.
That sounds great. I mean, those tight margins don't intimidate you too much, huh?
Yeah, I guess I have a portfolio with what I live off, right? So I don't need to be making the large sums of money through this kind of hospitality trade. It's for me that's. Although you could argue I'm leading with emotion, I just need it to be paying for itself and self-sustaining. And then if any bonus money is good.
That sounds great. Yeah. That means a lot. For somebody who doesn't have the sort of the stability level quite where you have it, that means a lot of ups and downs as they're going through, whether they might have tight profit margins, etc. Ups and downs are something that you've definitely dealt with in your last 12 years. You got started when you were young. I know there were a lot of downs and a lot of ups along the way. What are some tips that you have for entrepreneurs on how they can handle those ups and downs?
For me, it's having your network, having those people that have ridden those ups and downs. They know the pain, they know the struggle, they have experienced it and they've come through, or they might not have come through it, but they can give you some kind of ways to navigate how you're feeling. I think as business owners, we often feel very lonely, like we're probably not really supported by our families, and it's important to have those people who are in business behind you to in order to kind of help you through the kind of harder times.
What are some of the give me a piece of advice that was particularly helpful? And you mentioned the woman who helped you set up your business in the first place several years back. Did she have anything that she particularly taught you that caused you to handle the ups and downs better, or anyone along the lines? Any of your mentors?
I can't remember the exact number, but she always used to say there's like 14 bad weeks in a year. So just factor that in, you're not going to have a good week every week.
There's just always going to be, you're just going to have to be able to handle it as it goes. Do you find that even when you have like good weeks that you don't enjoy them as much as you would like?
Yeah, I think I have been victim's probably too strong of a word, but I have been so focused in kind of making money, focusing on my business, that at the age of 29, I've not enjoyed my 20s. So I've really kind of sacrificed friendships that are my age. I've sacrificed kind of family relationships because I've been so focused into kind of building what I've dreamed, and my focus has been on what I have now. So kind of coming up to my 30s, I'm like, well, I've lost my 20s, but in a good way, because I've gained so much experience. I have so much business knowledge. I have so much wealth that now it's time to kind of pivot in a personal way and change my attitude towards money, change my attitude towards my time and my health.
Yeah, and having a wine bar type of a business can
Yeah.
go into that. Well, you can maybe get some people around you that you can have fun with, and that could be fun. So even though you didn't get as much fun in your 20s, the 30s could be a real good time.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we talked about before was raising money, and that's something that almost every entrepreneur I know is looking for tips on how to do that better. So you've been able to get investors interested in your product, essentially. What are some tips that you have for entrepreneurs out there on how they can attract investors?
I think it's being completely transparent. Also, showing them case studies of what deals you have done, before and afters, the cash you generated, and then also by what I did at the beginning. I don't so much do now because I carry out most projects that are offered to me. What I did at the beginning was, I went to auction, or I went to offer on this house, but I didn't have money at the time. But this is what could have been earned if I did have that money. So I've done that. That was kind of my advice for anybody starting out. Kind of do your research, do these kind of false case studies, or not false, kind of what would have been if you had the money. And I think people are investing in you, so you need to be well dressed. You need to be sharp. You need to have all the answers to your questions, to their questions, and yeah, full transparency is key.
That's great. Yeah. Always needing more advice for how to attract investors. What is the painting behind you? I've been looking at the painting and I want to know what the painting is.
So these are a painter from Poland, and they have some animals dancing around. I've got two of them. Some abstract.
They're like abstract for sure. That's great. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Arthur, where can people find you on the internet if they want to learn more about you and maybe even go to that wine bar?
So the wine bar is probably about 18 months away from opening. If you're if you're interested in coming to the estate and learning more about kind of living in the countryside, then my website is William Arthur Property, and my estate is called Birdrop House Estate in Wiltshire.
All right. Any social media accounts you want people to know about?
Yeah, we have an Instagram account called Birdrop House. It's still in the kind of development phase, but we're looking to share a lot of kind of the things that come out from running a small estate, and the park. I've got a deer park here, and all of the joys of owning a large bit of land.
That's great. Well, Arthur Dallimer, property investor in the UK, it's been wonderful to have you on the show.
Thank you very much, John.
We'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye.